Ladies and gentlemen, as the, I believe, what were these protesters? Pro-Palestine protests? Hands off or something?
Yeah.
People began to throw garbage from their building at the protesters, and we have the video. Don't do this. This is super illegal. So you've got, yeah, I think it's pro-Palestine protests. We are watching the video. Garbage is flying out of buildings at the pro-Palestinian protesters. This is in New York. People don't really like these people.
It's bad to do this, but holy crap, is it funny?
Yeah, don't do it. Super. It's like insane felony territory. People could get hurt, man. But they're getting drenched in garbage juice. That's the worst thing. You know, taking the garbage out and the garbage water comes out. They're covered in it. I wonder what they must be thinking when they're like, people are throwing garbage on us as we march. Do they think
That they're doing something right?
Oh, there's more. Wow, they are hucking garbage at these people. Holy crap.
You shouldn't throw anything.
Yeah, they're gonna. Oh, whoa, they broke the window. Look at this. What?
Yeah.
Yo, they shattered somebody's window, man. That's not okay.
It's
Hey,
bad.
that's crazy.
It's bad to throw things out of high rise.
Trash bags full of frozen hot dogs.
I think there's a banana. And, man, that's messed up because the dude whose car got his windshield shattered, he's not a protester.
He's not, yeah.
Yeah.
That's just some guy's car, man.
This is New York.
Yeah, that's how crazy things are getting. Well, I tell you what, man, people don't like these protests.
People are getting sick and tired of the leftist protest.
Phil, did you ever figure out what was going on in D.C. the other day? We came out to D.C.
No.
to look at cherry blossoms and there were
Yesterday?
all of these
No, on
crazy
Sunday.
people everywhere.
Was it Sunday or Saturday?
It was Saturday. They were
Yeah, it was the nationwide hands-off protest.
There was that.
They were
one,
in
but there
Charlestown,
was-
too.
There was another one that I think were Sikhs, and they were not affiliated with the hands-off protest.
The people with Palestinian flags just kind of approached them and acted like they were the same
Yeah.
thing.
And the Sikhs
But then there were other, like, not even affiliated protesters who just wanted to, like, wear fishnets and...
Yeah.
Did you see the video where the guy showed up to the hands-off protest carrying a sign that said "Free Diddy"?
Our favorite sign actually was a couple, and one said "Make lying illegal," and then their compatriots said "Trans rights are human rights."
Yeah.
Something like that. And I'm just like,
There's a
you're complaining about lying while you're hanging out with a person that thinks that trans people are real.
There's another nation. Yeah, here we go. We got this nationwide anti-Trump protests are planned for the 19th. The April 5th hands-off protest, blah, blah, blah. They're doing an all 50 state anti-Trump protest. You know, whatever, man.
And that's how I felt. I was like, I'm not even mad. I just kind of feel sorry for you.
Well, we were talking just a moment ago about how Gen Z is listless. But the funny thing is, most of these protests are boomers.
Oh, no, I saw like old ladies with purple hair.
Yeah, it's all
That's
boomers.
what it was.
Trump stuff is, yeah.
It's all old people.
The Palestine stuff are young.
Younger, right?
In fact,
That's weird.
When I approached one group in Charlestown, I noticed that most of them were kind of gray-haired old ladies. And she was saying to me, "Oh, I'm so glad you showed up. Like, we need young people, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, honestly, I think you're kind of out of touch. And I'm looking behind you, and there are all of these, no offense, but you're all older. And I completely disagree with everything you're saying.
That should tell you something.
And they believe that young people are on their side, too, even though the young people aren't showing up.
That should tell you something, though. The young people who are out doing the anti-Israel stuff, they're leftists. The old people are Democrats, right? They're against Trump, but the younger people are leftists. I did a lot of work like inside these anti-Israel protest encampments, and the second most common symbol inside of all of them, I went to Berkeley, Irvine, UCLA, Georgia, and I think those are all the encampments I went to. The most common symbol on the inside of these encampments is the hammer and sickle, other than the Palestinian flag. That's the most common, second most common sickle.
How long until we start seeing people on the right join them?
That's a great question. Probably, I think it's probably already happening.
Yeah.
Under the hammer and sickle, you think?
No, well, I mean, the interesting thing is the anti-Israel sentiment we're starting to see from a lot of prominent personalities. So at what point do members of their audience say, I'm going to go out and actually join these protests?
I think that anti-Israel sentiment has bled into like sympathy for the left, actually. Like maybe not sympathy, but a lot of right-wingers who have started being anti-Israel have become have adopted sort of like leftist tendencies. I think they start to steer their audience in the direction of leftism.
Yeah, I mean, you do get a lot of the same kind of.
Don't worry, I got you guys. Here you go. The real horseshoe theory.
I hate lumping these guys in with the right though, because they're not actually right wing, right?
Yeah, and what is this? This is so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is funny though. The real.
When you say sympathy for the left, like which issues then?
Well, here's a great example. Candace Owens, on her podcast, she debated, I forget who it was, but they were talking about East Jerusalem. They're talking about the difference between the Muslim, Arab, Jewish, and why am I blanking? Armenian quarters. 4 quarters of the old city of East Jerusalem. And she was basically like, I was there with the rabbi who took me around, and the signs say, no, Arabs can't leave, they have to live here. Like, the Muslims have to live in the Muslim quarter, which is not true. I've been to Jerusalem. There is no division between the quarters. There are Muslims wearing hijab in the Jewish quarter. There are Jews wearing kippah in the Muslim quarter. There's no division. There's Muslim-owned businesses in the Jewish quarter, and they sell kosher here and non-kosher here, and the Jews buy it. So no division. She was corrected on that by whoever she was debating and basically told that she was lying. She continued to parrot that talking point afterwards. But what she appealed to is, and by the way, this is the woman who built her career on, the whole Blexit, racism isn't real, don't let people convince you you're a victim. Well, I just see that and I think of the Jim Crow South, and my grandparents built up in that. It's like, that's not necessarily a left or right issue, because left and right is an economic axis, not a social one.
That's not true.
What do you think? What do you
Left. So I hate to interrupt you, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but
No, totally.
left and right refers to the cultural tribes. There's left economics and right economics, but typically in this country, when they say left and right, it incorporates the components of the umbrella factions.
Yes.
So race economics could apply to each other. When you say right, the reason it doesn't make sense is the authoritarian right is not free market, but the libertarian right is.
I actually tend to believe that there's no such thing as a libertarian left, and I think that, like, so when you look at like the actual axis of authoritarian, libertarian, right and left, and we probably won't get anywhere with this conversation, but like generally in the past at least, and I agree with you, when we talk about right and left in the United States, we're referring to
Tribes.
yes. But like traditionally, right and left is an economic axis. The further left you go, the closer to communism are. The further right you go, the closer to
I got to
anarcho-capitalism.
correct you on that one.
What's that?
The left and right axis refers to the monarchy versus the revolution in France.
Originally, yes.
So it wasn't necessarily economic. It was power structured based. And so left and right has typically referred to the factions in opposition, status quo, traditionalism versus progressivism. The reason why it was associated with economics for a while is because the only real divisions we had were economic. We largely agreed on cultural issues. I would say there is a libertarian left, and it's like hippies living on a farm. You never hear from them. Yet 20 hippies on a farm sharing watermelon with each other, nobody cares about. That's libertarian left. It's the problem was when they start amassing into large numbers and then start demanding you join the commune, which you don't want to do, then they become tankies.
Sure.
But, the axis never really made sense left and right economically because the authoritarian far right has nothing to do with free markets.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. And also, conversely, the libertarian left, you cannot have communism or socialism, whatever you want to call it, because depending on what parts of Marx you've read, you can't have socialism and libertarianism. You can't have free markets or I guess liberalism in socialism, because in order to uphold a socialist system, you need authority to prevent capitalists from going in the woods and starting markets in your country. You need an authority structure. You need a government to prevent all of these things they don't want. They want to abolish money. How are you going to abolish money if you don't have a government? You need somebody to enforce the abolition of money.
Yeah, otherwise people will just keep trading.
Exactly.
And you can't do anything about it. I would say that I didn't see the debate between Candace and whoever she was debating.
I forget who it was. Yeah.
But the interesting thing is the modern left today wants the Jim Crow South.
Yeah.
That's the problem that we all have with the left. So, if Candace is saying she does, I don't know if she, look, whatever, I don't know exactly what she said about the separation or whatever, but in a general manner, saying, I look at separation and I think of the Jim Crow South is a critique of the left today.
Right. But the left today wants the Jim Crow South in a different context. They want it where.
No.
You think it's the same?
What's the guy's name?
Black people to have more power.
Derek Bell, I think his name was.
What do you?
Yeah. Was that his name? Yeah. Derek Bell. He's the civil rights activist lawyer who was one of the principal authors of critical race theory, who argued that Plessy versus Ferguson was decided wrong, and that segregation should remain, and all of those things. Many of these individuals have argued that. During the BLM protests, during the Michael Brown protests, before like all the Trayvon Martin stuff, they had a letter they were circulating that outright said the end of segregation was a mistake because it forced black-owned businesses, which were smaller in wealth, underneath the white industries, and segregation was better because they had their own wealth, their own luxuries.
I've not heard this. The most common context I've heard it in is like, we want a black space where we eliminate whites from this space. And it seems almost like when you see that photo of the water fountains in Jim Crow era, the black one is obviously crappier, and it seems like they want that to be the white one. That's what I see the most common. But
I mean, I'm sure there are people who want benefits for themselves, but we just had Trevor Noah a couple months ago, I think it was, or he was arguing that segregation was a good thing, and he said the problem with American segregation was that the black people had lesser. But if you had true equality in segregation, he was for it. Wow. And well, that's the problem with these woke leftists.
That's something that the there have been a lot of college campuses that have groups that are saying, well, we need spaces that are specifically for POC. There was the day of absence at Evergreen College in, I think it was Oregon. And the point was to say, it used to be where people of color and black students wouldn't go to school, so that way the white students would notice their absence. But it turned into they didn't want white people going to school on those days. And this was happening in I think 2017, 18, 19. This was before your average normie knew what woke was. So the idea of segregation on the left is absolutely real. There are a lot of people that want it. They're the quote unquote progressives, and they're the people that, if they're not moderated by government or whatever, they would be all for any kind of discrimination against white people, because they look at it as what's his name, the Ibram Kendi guy. He was saying that the cure for past bigotry is not bigotry, but the discrimination is discrimination now. The cure for discrimination now is discrimination in the future.
I guess I do see what you're talking about sometimes, Tim, and I'm not familiar with the people you're referencing, and I'm definitely not contesting that it happens where people, say that they want, they think Plessy v. Ferguson was decided wrong.
One of the principal authors of the book, Critical Race Theory, Derek Bell, argued this.
Yeah. I agree. I know. But what I'm saying is, like, I think most commonly what I see is sort of like a rebranding of segregation. They want this new segregation that's really the same thing, but then they always beckon back to at least I'm talking about like the whatever, like Gen Z leftists, right? But they always still beckon back to the Jim Crow South or slavery or whatever it was, past oppressions, to justify what they want to do now. And that's kind of a big problem I have with what Candace was saying, and appealing to look at how terrible people that look like me were treated in America, and now they're doing it in Israel, which just isn't true. And she's lying about it to push a propaganda.